Welcome to this video where we talk all about Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I'm dividing this video in 3 parts, which is 1, 2, 3. And I hope that this, creates some type of stimulation of inspiration that you may read this book if you haven't read it or reread it. This is not an expose. Um, uh, this is a video that shares what I feel about this book, how it impacted me, and how I probably will continue to be impacted by it because I plan on, rereading it again and again. So first time was with the audiobook, which was narrated by Ben Kingsley. It's a very big book, so I can understand that. For me, it was like, okay, I see this book everywhere, and usually when books are mainstream in the wellness space, it kind of feels like most of the themes have been addressed, most of the discoveries or the chapters, everything has been very much distilled into the mainstream media. But with this one, it really hasn't, because 1, it's an autobiography, so it is Yogananda's life, but 2, it's deeply personal when you start reading it. So what you can expect out of this book is 1, the journey of a young boy who feels called to having a spiritual journey, to being dedicated to, 1, his guru who saved him from his first illness, where he has cholera, and he is saved through watching a photo of his guru, of his mom's guru, of his dad's guru, and being saved, from a deadly illness, and being called to the divine, and from the youngest age, having this call and dedicating himself to this journey, no matter how many obstacles are on the way. He tries so many times to go places, to go where he thinks he should, and then, obviously spirit is not always planning life according to that. And it's all about his learning through meeting so many different saints in India. It's beautiful, the devotion that starts, the redirection, the realignment, the different lessons, the different encounters with those saints, and then becoming himself a teacher and having his own students while he shares Kriya Yoga, where he shares the wisdom of yoga in America. So there's the journey, the physical journey of him going from place to place, as well as, and the journey of his psyche as he is, being counted by who he meets, as his ego is obviously a part of the equation, as it is for everybody, including such people as Yogananda, and how the path that lays before him is a path that has inspired many people, will probably continue to inspire many people, as I have been inspired by this. This book was published in 46, but there's been many other editions, and the one that I have includes some chapters that have been added later on. And actually, if there was anything that you had to read out of this book, it would be that last chapter. It is called The Years 1940-1951, and it's not a chapter that you find in every edition. It actually is and has been added in the 3rd edition of the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is the fellowship that Yogananda created himself. And this chapter, I've found it being discussed and being read out loud, and I'm adding the link to the description so that you may access it, because again, it's very difficult to find it. I was only able to find it once I actually bought a physical copy, and yeah, it was not easy when you buy ebooks, so I think it's really worth it. I want to encourage this chapter because it really took me by surprise when I was nearing the end, because it's a beautiful transmission of Vedic scriptures and the yogic wisdom in a way that I didn't see explained throughout the book, although most of the book is about, what the yogic wisdom is about, what the transmissions of Vedic scriptures has been about for all those millennia in India, and what they mean to humanity, what they will mean to humanity, and how connected to the cosmos we are. So please, even if you never plan on reading this book, please click on the link and see, see those words for yourself, because there's so much to take away from this. Now for the second part, what I didn't expect out of this book. What I didn't expect was for this book to be a transmission. It is obviously, it's an object, yes. It's a story, yes. We talk in stories, and stories create emotions out of us. But this specific collection of stories and transmissions is a living consciousness that impacts you, that impacts your energy. I'm an energy healer, I'm clairsentient, so you might have seen my other videos where I'm sharing Reiki, ceremonies, healings around your aura, around your inner being and your chakras. This book is a healing in and of itself. Every time I opened it, and right now as I'm talking of it, my third eye is just blasted open, and there's so much energy that is coming through the words, the spoken word when you listen to the audiobook, the charge that is behind those words, those experiences, and also the photos. So actually what made me buy the physical copy is that I was at a friend's house. You might know her. It was Sarah, who is part of the book club, and she has a copy in English. And I started going through it because I didn't know that photos were included. The photos, they're alive. They're alive. You watch them, and you are surrounded by love. And Yogananda specifically, there's photos of all of the saints that he speaks with, his friends, his family, him as a child. But there's a photo of him as an adult, and he has been called the Prem Avatar, which is, it's a way to say that he's an incarnation of love. Each saint that we meet in this book is, different, and has different cities, meaning different abilities that come from their full self-realization. And when you look at photos of Yogananda, I cannot say it otherwise than you just feel loved. Like you truly feel that love coming through the page. And when you look at other photos, you feel different ways, you feel differently, and you feel their presence. And that's not something that I expected. This is called The Last Smile, and it's the last photo that was taken of Yogananda. This photo really touched me. The way that this book impacted me was, one, it gave me a lot of answers. I've been looking for answers throughout my spiritual journey for many years, and I read this book in 2021, and it was incredible. It felt like I had finally found the space where there was truth, and a truth that I feel in me. And those truths had to do with the nature of the cosmos, the nature of the atom, the understanding of how we are all interrelated, and with descriptions and scientific knowledge that might be proven one day by our science catching up. To see that Vedic scriptures has had those informations for thousands of years, and that we're just now being able to understand through either Einstein in the 40s, or now what we're trying with quantum physics, that we're actually understanding the words that Buddha shared, for example, or in that case that Yogananda shares. I also felt so confirmed. To me, it satiated one specific aspect of me, which is life of saints and the realizations of cities. It's something that we might think, Buddha and the Christ were the one able to, carry miracles on this planet, where spirits overcame the problems and fallacies of the material world. And it's something that as soon as I was able to read, I was fascinated by the life of saints, of Catholic saints that, you know, were able to speak to animals or walk a few miles with their decapitated head when they were martyred. And, you know, those tales are pretty old. They're mostly before Renaissance, so they are suffused with a lot of fog around them. We don't really know if it is true, if it really happened that, you know, Saint whoever did this thing, or Saint what's his name, I'm just, you know, not giving examples, but that those people, that humans were able to carry those miracles. And with this book, we are in the very late 19th century and all the way to mid 20th century, and there's so many miracles happening. There's so many instances where spirits, where visions, where miracles, where healings were happening, and it matters to me. It really matters to me that we are able to know that humanity has those abilities. That's why I'm also teaching Reiki, and it is important for me to know that, one, it is something that can be more verified when we're talking about those very recent periods than, you know, whoever in the 5th century, but it also shows a way, it paves a way for us in this journey. Not that we're trying to get, you know, skills and abilities that feels like superheroes, but to know that this is true, this is a possibility, that this exists, that it is only when we serve spirit, you know, it's not something to kind of, you know, get riz for, but to get a cloud for or something. I experience things that I can't prove, but I've experienced so many different visions and miracles in my life that, you know, I really cannot prove, and they happen between me and non-physical beings. But I also met the Indian saint Amma in 2011 and 2010, 2011. I don't exactly remember which year, but it was around those years. And I met her when she was in London. She's the hugging saint, and I was hugged by her, and it was a spiritual initiation. It did something to my being, to my chakras. It was such a beautiful and meaningful experience for me. And throughout this book, there are so many things that happen and that can be carried to you, that can be shared with you, that we are divine beings. We are way more than this physical matter, and that even this physical matter is quite magical. And this is a message that, you know, just really matters to me and matters to humanity, should matter to humanity, and should be pursued with, you know, the highest of intentions. I also want to share that although this is quite a big book, it is truly so easy to read. I mean, you can go for the audiobook, but it's truly stories, and it's really, really interesting. It's from his point of view. So, you know, he becomes the teacher, but so much of it is him being a student and learning from his teachers, from his guru, and it's such a beautiful. What is said is beautiful, and I know that given the following he has, there's a lot of things that have happened through his hands, through his gaze, through his presence, that is not told throughout this book. And that's what I'm interested in. It's like, this book is from the author, from Yogananda and I himself, about his life, and I want to know about him throughout the eyes of others who have lived with him. And that would be so interesting, because he never puts himself on a pedestal being like, oh, and I did this. He retells the story of how he created that school, or how he created the fellowship, or who he met, but it's very humble, and I'm sure that there was a lot of things that could have been celebrated and adored, and I want to know what. I just really want to know what. So thank you for watching this video. I highly recommend reading this book or reading the specific chapter that I was mentioning. Again, all the links are down below. And if you are interested in more spiritual book content, please make sure to check out other videos that I've made and to subscribe because there's more coming. See you soon. Bye. I also completely forgot to share. Not only reading the book is an experience, psychically speaking, where you feel, taken to other alternate state of consciousness through learning or watching, through reading or gazing at the photos in the book, but also the gurus that are mentioned in this book started to visit me in my dream time and to share with me things that I had no way of knowing. It was very meaningful, and it felt so guided, so divine, so beautiful, and maybe they have something to share with you too. So that might be an entry point into this book too. We are honestly, it's been hard lately because there is so many people in this movement that have been, cancelled, that have been overtaken by their spiritual ego, or who were lying and deceiving all this time. There's been a lot of manipulation and deceit, and it has been so hard, really hard, when you trust someone and you take in their teachings and you go to a space vulnerably and with the highest of intentions, and you only learn that you were deceived even though you had a lot of discernment. Like, there's people that you kind of can see from the outside, you feel it in their energy that this is, not truthful, but there's others that are so good at hiding it, so masterful at deceiving. When I am in a position where I want to heal, I need help from others, I want to be sure, because we're human, so it's always going to be filtered through a human, but how much of that distortion is there? Not that being human is distorted at all, but how much of that, of the ego is there, and how much of the heart is there. And that's something that is not always easy to discern. I cannot talk for the Self-Realization Fellowship. I don't know about the organizations. I'm just referring to this book, and that's all I know. So yeah. All right, all my love. Thank you.